Have you ever peered into the dark, mysterious depths of the ocean and wondered if a forgotten city lies hidden beneath the waves? A city of unimaginable wealth, maybe unparalleled wisdom, and, well, a power that perhaps pushed things a bit too far.
It definitely sparks the imagination.
Today we're embarking on a true deep dive into one of humanity's most enduring puzzles, the lost city of Atlantis. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Think of it as a kind of detective story, really. We're piecing together clues, some ancient, some quite modern, trying to understand a mystery that's, well, stumped people for millennia.
That's a perfect way to frame it, because Atlantis isn't just a legend, is it? It's more like a timeless enigma.
Right.
It seamlessly weaves together, threads of history, myth, and just our boundless human imagination.
Absolutely.
So for you, our listener, our mission today is really to dig into its surprising origins, dissect the fascinating theories around its existence, and ultimately try to uncover the reasons why Atlantis continues to capture our collective imagination.
Because it really does.
It's a story, above all, that absolutely refuses to fade away. It's always inviting us to look just a little closer.
So if we're talking origins, where exactly do we even start with a story this colossal, this influential?
Good question.
Because for a legend that's so widespread now, it actually has a surprisingly specific beginning. I think a lot of people might assume it's some ancient, anonymous folktale, maybe.
That's a common thought, yeah.
But the very first mention, the foundational text for almost everything we think we know about Atlantis, comes from one single person.
One very famous person.
Exactly. The Greek philosopher Plato, over 2,000 years ago.
That's such a crucial distinction, and you're spot on. Plato wasn't just, spinning a casual yarn. He described Atlantis in two of his philosophical dialogues, the Timaeus and Critias.
Right, those dialogues.
And it's worth noting, these aren't just simple stories for Plato. They're often seen as vehicles for his deeper philosophical ideas. Ideas about ideal states, human nature, the dangers of moral decay.
So he had a purpose beyond just telling a cool story.
Precisely. In these incredibly influential writings, he painted this picture of Atlantis as a vast and incredibly powerful island empire. And what really grabs you is the sheer scale he describes.
How big are we talking?
Plato actually said it was larger than Libya and Asia combined.
Wow. That's immense. Hard to even wrap your head around that.
Exactly. Imagine trying to visualize that back then. And he meticulously placed this impressive civilization geographically beyond the Pillars of Heracles.
Which we now know is the Strait of Gibraltar.
Correct. So essentially, out in the Atlantic Ocean, far beyond the known world of his time, it suggests as a truly remote, almost, otherworldly location for ancient minds.
So he's describing this massive, technologically sophisticated civilization, almost impossibly grand, located way out past the known horizon. You said magnificent, too.
Precisely. And in his account, it wasn't just big, it was magnificent. According to Plato, Atlantis was mythically founded by the sea god Poseidon himself, who then appointed his son Atlas to rule it, hence the name Atlantis.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Atlas, Atlantis.
Exactly. Plato's description speaks of a place of, incredible wealth, derived from its natural resources and advanced engineering.
Advanced how?
Well, they possessed advanced knowledge, sophisticated technology. Some later interpretations of the legend even credit them with things like crystal power or anti-gravity, other kinds of super science.
Right, the stuff you see in movies.
That shows that enduring fascination with lost capabilities, doesn't it? But Plato himself detailed a magnificent city design built with these concentric rings of land and water.
Rings, like a target.
Sort of, yeah. Adorned with beautiful temples, magnificent palaces made of rare metals like orichalcum. It truly was portrayed as a wonder, the peak of civilization, with an amazing port and a formidable navy.
It sounds like a true utopian vision, a golden age. Almost too perfect to be true, maybe.
And your gut feeling is right. Perfection in these old tales, it rarely lasts, does it?
Not usually, no. So after painting such a vivid picture of this utopian world, you have to wonder, what could possibly bring it all crashing down? Because here's where it gets really interesting. How did this supposedly perfect society begin to unravel?
That's the dramatic turn, exactly. According to Plato, despite their initial virtue and their advanced state, the Atlanteans began a moral decline.
Ah, the classic fall from grace.
Pretty much. Their inner divine nature became diluted, he suggested, by human greed. They grew increasingly corrupt, arrogant, and just power-hungry.
So they lost their way.
They did. Their ambition knew no bounds. They became militaristic and attempted to conquer other lands, specifically setting their imperial sights on Athens, which Plato depicted as the virtuous counterpoint.
Ah, okay, so Athens was the good guy in his story.
In a way, yes. This hubris, this excessive pride and ambition angered the gods.
So they pushed too far. They challenged the divine order, not just militarily, but like morally. Was it the decay itself or the attacking Athens part?
It was really that combination. The moral decay coupled with their overreaching ambition. They had strayed too far from the path of virtue, and the gods, specifically Zeus, the king of the gods, decided their actions just couldn't go unaddressed.
So divine intervention time.
Big time. Plato describes a cataclysmic response. The gods sent floods and violent earthquakes. He characterized this as a great geological event.
A geological event. It sounds almost modern.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's a classic ancient narrative of divine retribution, a cautionary tale written large across the landscape.
So the end was swift. Not a slow decline, but boom.
Incredibly swift. Imagine an entire advanced civilization just vanishing from the map. Plato says the island civilization was destroyed and sank into the deep ocean in a single day and night.
One day and night. That's terrifyingly fast.
It really is.
That's a stark warning, isn't it? Even for us today. It reinforces that part of Plato's story that feels absolutely key. It's a powerful moral lesson about the consequences of pride, unchecked power, and human ambition. It reminds us that even the greatest, most advanced civilizations can fall, and fall quickly. It's almost eerie how that ancient tale still resonates, perhaps mirroring some of our own anxieties today, about progress or environmental issues.
That's a profound observation, and it brings us right to the core dilemma, doesn't it?
With such a grand tale laid out, the mind immediately jumps to the ultimate question. Was any of this real? So what does this all mean? Was Atlantis an actual place, a historical account, or, well, just a really good story?
Yeah.
This is where the great debate really kicks off.
It truly is the central question that has baffled scholars, explorers, everyone for centuries. There are basically two main perspectives.
Okay.
The first, and probably the most widely held among academics, is that Plato's story was purely a fictional myth.
Just made up.
Essentially, yes. Many scholars view it as a moral fable or maybe a political allegory, something meticulously crafted by Plato to warn against arrogance, corruption, and the dangers of unchecked power. He used this decadent Atlantis as a contrast to his idealized vision of ancient, virtuous Athens.
So he used it to make a philosophical point.
Exactly. Plato, being the philosopher he was, used these narratives to explore his ideas on ideal societies and the dangers inherent in human failings.
Okay, so purely fiction then. But wasn't it presented in a way that sounded historical? I mean, the details, the names, it feels so definitive in his telling. How do we reconcile that persuasive style with it just being an allegory?
That's the genius of Plato's writing, isn't it? He presented it with enough specific detail, the names like Atlas, the scale, the geographical placement, that it feels like history.
Right, it gives it weight.
It really does. It lends weight to his philosophical message. It's part of what makes the story so incredibly compelling, even now.
Okay, so that's one view. What's the other?
Well, the second perspective acknowledges that, well, maybe not exactly as described, some theories suggest Plato might have based his story, at least in part, on real events. Distant memories, perhaps.
Like what kind of event?
The most popular of these theories points to the devastating volcanic eruption on the island of Thera, which is modern-day Santorini, back around 1500 BCE.
Santorini, I've heard that connection before.
It's a strong contender for inspiration. This wasn't just any eruption, it was one of the largest in recorded human history. We think it was many times more powerful than Krakatoa.
Wow.
It caused massive tsunamis, earthquakes, and it ultimately devastated the Minoan civilization on nearby Crete. The sheer scale of that real-world catastrophe has some tantalizing similarities to Plato's description of a swift cataclysmic end for Atlantis.
That is a powerful real-world parallel. It makes you think, maybe a real event like that could inspire such a dramatic story over time. But what's the scientific take on finding actual evidence of Atlantis itself? Because despite those parallels, there's a big gap between inspiration and finding actual ruins.
That's right. And this raises an important question, maybe the most important one for the literal searchers. It's critical to state this clearly. Despite centuries of searching, countless expeditions using increasingly sophisticated technology, sonar, submersibles, you name it.
Yeah.
There is no concrete archaeological or scientific evidence to prove the existence of Atlantis as a specific historical place, exactly as Plato described it.
No smoking gun.
Not a shred. While the inspiration from something like Thera might be real, the city itself, the rings of land and water, the golden palaces, the advanced Tectus, none of that has ever been physically found.
But what about some of those persistent things you hear about, like unusual underwater formations that get photographed?
Yeah.
Do scientists just completely disregard those? I'm thinking of things like the Bimini Road. People talk about that one a lot.
That's a great example, actually, of how the mystery lives on, even without that hard proof. The Bimini Road, it's a submerged rock formation off the coast of North Bimini in the Bahamas. And it's a remarkably straight line of limestone blocks. Now, most geologists will tell you it's down to natural geological processes, beach rock formation, wave erosion.
Natural causes.
But its almost perfectly aligned appearance convinced many people, including famous figures like the psychic Edgar Cayce, that it had to be part of an ancient road or maybe a wall from Atlantis.
So it looks man-made, even if it probably isn't.
Exactly. These kinds of formations are fascinating because they provide a tangible something for people to latch onto. It keeps the dream of discovery alive, you could say.
It's incredible how persistent this search is, even without that solid, undisputed evidence. So despite the scientific consensus, the search for Atlantis absolutely continues. People haven't given up.
Not at all.
But if it were real, hypothetically, beyond Bimini, where on Earth, or maybe under the sea, have explorers and dreamers actually looked for it? It feels like it's been sought almost everywhere.
Oh, it really has. The lack of definitive proof certainly hasn't dampened the enthusiasm for the search. Over the centuries, theories about its location have popped up from literally all corners of the globe.
So not just the Atlantic.
No, not at all. You'll find hypotheses placing Atlantis not only out in the Atlantic, trying to match Plato, but also within the Mediterranean, often near Santorini or other parts of Greece, which obviously ties into that Thera eruption theory.
Makes sense.
But then the theory spread much, much further into the open Atlantic Ocean, sure, with proposals for locations near the Azores, the Canary Islands, maybe off the Moroccan coast, anywhere beyond the Pillars of Heracles.
And I've even heard some really, far-fetched ideas, haven't I?
Yeah.
Like people looking for it in places that seem utterly unconnected to Plato's description.
Oh, absolutely. Some theories go even further afield. People have suggested locations like the Caribbean Sea, based on submerged structures or legends there, or even the most remote place imaginable.
Antarctica.
Antarctica? How does that even work? Well, the idea usually involves theories about pole shifts or ancient maps showing it ice-free. Scientifically, it's extremely unlikely. But each of these diverse theories, whether grounded in some geological possibility or pure imaginative speculation, adds new life to the mystery.
It keeps the story going.
Exactly. They're all driven by this ongoing, almost irresistible quest for those underwater ruins or the fabled lost continent. That core idea that there's a huge secret waiting to be uncovered beneath the waves or the ice.
It just grabs you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I remember first hearing about Atlantis as a kid and instantly imagining this incredible lost world underwater. It just hooks you.
It really does.
So why? Why does this mystery continue to attract us so strongly? What is it about Atlantis that makes its story live on, even without any real proof? What's the enduring appeal there?
That's a fantastic question, and it really gets to the heart of human psychology, I think, and storytelling itself. There are several big reasons.
Yeah.
First, there's just the incredibly powerful image of a sunken city. Just picture it. Diving down, swimming through these ancient water-filled ruins, past statues covered in coral, maybe finding temples and magnificent palaces, all long forgotten beneath the waves.
Yeah, that image is potent.
That image alone sparks endless fascination. It's an almost cinematic vision for us, isn't it?
It really is. It feels like something straight out of a blockbuster movie or an adventure novel.
Exactly. And that leads directly to its immense cultural impact. Atlantis has inspired just countless works in popular culture, movies, books, video games, documentaries, even theme park rides.
It's everywhere.
It really is. It consistently gets brought to life as this place of wonder and adventure, making it a truly global story understood and loved across cultures and generations. But beyond that, there's also a deep psychological relevance at play.
How so? What does it tap into in us psychologically?
Well, the story of Atlantis, with its incredible golden age followed by that catastrophic fall, it powerfully reminds us that even great civilizations can disappear. It speaks to the inherent fragility of civilizations.
That's a heavy thought.
It is, and it's a timeless lesson that perhaps even speaks to our modern anxieties about things like climate change or geopolitical instability,
Yeah, I can see that connection.
It also taps into our profound desire, maybe a need, to believe that secrets still exist out there, that the whole world isn't mapped and known, secrets waiting to be found.
Like lost knowledge.
Exactly. Perhaps holding advanced technology, lost wisdom, or ancient knowledge that could fundamentally change our view of history or ourselves. Ultimately, Atlantis embodies human hope, imagination, and our endless curiosity. It constantly challenges us to keep searching, keep asking questions about our origins and what might lie just beyond the known horizon.
It's a basic human need for wonder and discovery, doesn't it? Even in our pretty skeptical modern age, it lets us dream a little.
It absolutely does. And even modern theories, some of which are, let's be honest, scientifically pretty fringe, like attributing strange geological formations to Atlantis without much evidence, or even connecting it to, say, extraterrestrial theories.
Right, those pop up too.
Even those manage to keep the mystery alive. They keep the legends circulating in the public consciousness, inspiring not only historians or archaeologists, but also scientists, explorers, artists, and dreamers alike. It's just a testament to the sheer power of a really good story.
So, whether it's a hidden truth buried deep beneath the sea, or a grand fiction born in the mind of a philosopher, the mystery of Atlantis itself is maybe just as powerful as any fact could be.
I think that's very true.
Its story has become this potent symbol of human dreams, our deepest fears, and that endless driving curiosity.
Couldn't agree more.
So, whether Atlantis was a real city that tragically sunk into the waves millennia ago, or only a myth born from Plato's brilliant philosophical mind, one thing is absolutely certain: its story lives on.
Undeniably.
We've journeyed today from Plato's ancient accounts of its incredible opulence and its dramatic fall, through the intense debate about whether it was real or not, and explored some of the many surprising places people have believed it might lie hidden. It's a narrative that just continues to resonate across all this time.
And in reflecting on it, maybe we see that Atlantis isn't just about a lost place somewhere out there. It's also a profound symbol of human nature itself. Our greatest achievements, alongside our most devastating failures, our insatiable ambition, and yes, our enduring fascination with the unknown. It kind of invites you, the listener, to consider what it truly means to search for hidden wonders, whether they're out in the world or maybe even within ourselves, and how stories like Atlantis reflect our own hopes, our deepest fears, and our absolutely limitless imagination.
A lot to think about.
Definitely. So I suppose, as long as people love mysteries, and as long as we remain curious about what lies just beyond the edge of the map, the legend of Atlantis will probably never truly sink into silence.
The waves where the oceans sleep lies a city lost in the waters deep. Traveler sails on a path unknown, guided by stars to the ancient throne. In the depths of the sea, where the silence reigns, a hidden world where mystery remains. Through the shadows and the crystal clear, the lost city of Atlantis draws near. In the heart of the ocean, where the legends lie, a sunken realm beneath the sky. Golden spires and sapphire streets, the lost city of Atlantis, where history meets.